Hey, this is Eric from Real Property Management Last Frontier and the Landlord's Almanac. Today we're going to talk about a concept I developed called the Vacancy Decision Triangle. We all want a unicorn, right? We all want our property rented quickly for a really high rent to a super well-qualified tenant. But in the real world, we have to make choices, and in this scenario, we only get to pick two of the three options. Let's say we decide that we're going to ask for our high rent goal, but we also want a really well-qualified tenant. So we're going to screen out poorly qualified tenants. This seems like a good idea, but it has some pros and cons to it. On the pro side, we're placing a well-qualified tenant who's going to likely pay on time and take good care of the property. On the con side of things, we need to realize that well-qualified tenants have choices and are unlikely to want to pay a high rent price. This is going to cost us money in days, weeks, or months spent vacant waiting for that perfect tenant willing to pay our high rent price. Once we find them, we're presented with another challenge. Because our tenant is well qualified, they aren't likely to stick around when the lease is up. Remember, they have choice, and they may choose to move elsewhere to get a more reasonable price. This then costs us money again in turnover maintenance and more days spent waiting for the next well-qualified tenant to come along. Now let's say we've got a super awesome spreadsheet that tells us, surprise, surprise, that getting a property rented quickly for a very high rent price makes the most money. Unfortunately, this approach works great on spreadsheets, but not so great in the real world with human beings doing human being stuff. Now on the plus side, because we rented the property quickly, we didn't lose a lot of money on vacancy. And because we rented it for a high price, we're making lots of money every month. So what did it take for us to get the property rented quickly for a high rent? Well, we had to lower our standards of who we're willing to put in the property. Poorly qualified tenants often know that the only way they're going to find a place to live is to overpay, hoping you'll overlook their not-so-great background check. These poorly qualified tenants come with their own problems of damaged units and missing rent. Remember, a high rent price listed on the lease doesn't do you any good if they aren't paying it. So let's examine the last scenario, which happens to be my favorite. Let's decide that we're going to advertise a market rent price, not a high price. This means we'll be able to screen for a well-qualified tenant because we priced it competitively, it will rent quickly. The pros of this situation are high. We get a well-qualified tenant, which means on-time rent and lower likelihood of damage to the property. Because we rented it quickly, we had a low vacancy cost, and because our rent is reasonable, there's a good chance those same tenants will renew at the end of the lease. This saves us in turnover costs and lost rent due to vacancy. The downside is that because we're relying on renting the property quickly to make up for a lower rent price, we need to hurry and get the property on the market as soon as possible, while still making sure it's in good condition. I hope you picked something up today. Again, this is Eric from Real Property Management Last Frontier and the Landlord's Almanac. Thanks for watching.